All right, you guys. This is not the live stream that I was expecting to have today. Welcome to Gate World. A little impromptu processing together as a fandom family of some bad news, really shocking news. My buddy Adam sent me the link to the Variety article that originally reported that the new Stargate series being created by Martin Garo has been canceled. And I didn't believe it. I read it. We'll look at it together in a minute. I thought, Variety cites an unnamed source with knowledge of the matter. And I thought, well, there's a chance they're just wrong, right? The source is just wrong. So I did my own footwork. I contacted a contact with knowledge of the production to try and get confirmation before I published a story on Gate World, so that the story could be not Variety is reporting and we're trying to confirm, but we could tell you one way or the other what's actually happening. Is this real? It is real. Amazon MGM Studios has canceled the new Stargate series that was about to start filming in the fall for a 2027-2028 premiere on Prime Video. If you've been around the channel, we've been talking about this nonstop since it was announced back in November. Actually, Martin Garo, who was creating the show, along with Joe Malazzi and Brad Wright, who were consulting producers. Joe was also writing a script. They came to the fans first. They came to me and David at Dial the Gate and asked us to be a part of the original announcement back in November. And that was amazing. That was an incredible experience, and it was such a good sign, right? It was such a good sign from Amazon's part that they were happy to be hands-off. They were happy to let Martin run this the way that he wanted to run it and announce it the way that he wanted to announce it and go straight to the fans and just be helpful. So we did that. We did that as a pre-recorded video back in November, David and I. We got to do the announcement here on Gate World and at Dial the Gate. And then Martin said, you know what, while the show's in production, we're not going to go radio silent. We're going to keep sharing what's happening. So he did another live stream with us. He did a long live stream with us in December. Talked about the show and let us ask questions, right? As much as he could reveal at the time. And then came back in March and said, I've got some news to announce. And so we did another 90-minute live stream with Martin from the writer's room where he announced two big hires. They hired Nathan Crawley, award-winning production designer. And they hired Mo and Leo and Industrial Light and Magic as the VFX supervisor. So all signs were pointing to Amazon is pulling out all the stops. They are giving this show a budget. They're going to get the best of the best. The best, right? Academy Award-winning production designer, Emmy Award-winning visual effects supervisor. And they're going to put their money where their mouth is. They're going to revive Stargate and make it a big franchise. And the report from Variety is that Stargate is still important to Amazon. They still want to do something with it, but it's not going to be this show. And let's look at why here. I'm glad that you're here with me. Again, this is kind of a downer live stream, right? We just got gobsmacked by bad news. I've texted David over at Dial the Gate, and he hasn't responded yet. I don't know if he's working or if he's flying back from France or what he's doing today. But if we can get David online, maybe we can get him to come on and chat about this with us in real time. And you can see his white-hot reaction. I've at least had time to write a news story and calm down a little bit. But let's go over and look at the original report on Variety, which was posted at 2:30 this afternoon. Presumably this is Pacific time. Yeah, 2:30 Pacific time. So a little over an hour ago, Variety reports the Stargate TV series from Martin Garo is not moving forward at Amazon. The new Stargate TV series has been axed. Variety has learned exclusively. The show was first announced in November. writer, executive producer, and showrunner Martin Garrow. Martin was right. Martin was he came in as a staff writer on Stargate Atlantis in the first season, and through the course of 5 years of Atlantis, Martin worked his way up the ladder to um, co-producer. Eventually, by the end of the show's run, he was an executive producer and writer. Martin, if you don't know who Martin Garrow is, he's essentially the one who wrote all the big gobsmacking episodes of Atlantis. He wrote most of the mid-season two-parters, most of the big season finales and season premieres, and then he also wrote a whole bunch of your favorite episodes in between, especially a lot of McKay episodes. He wrote Duet. He wrote McKay and Mrs. Miller. He wrote Sunday. He was Stargate Atlantis. He's also got credits on SG-1 and Stargate Universe. But then from Stargate, he went on and did a show with Jewel State, which aired on CW in the US, the LA Complex. He created the show Blind Spot with Jamie Alexander for NBC. He was brought in kind of last minute on the Quantum Leap reboot. So he was a showrunner on the Quantum Leap reboot, but that was not his show. He was brought in to kind of right the ship while they were in production on the first season. And then Martin's production deal went over to Amazon, I believe. He's been working on this new Stargate series for a couple of years now, pitching it, tweaking it, developing it, and finally was able to announce it last November. So back to the story. That's who Martin is. According to an individual with knowledge of the situation, Amazon execs were concerned that Garrow's take on the series would not have broad appeal beyond the franchise's already dedicated fan base. And there it is in a nutshell, right? The the great challenge for reviving a franchise like Stargate, which has been off the air now for 15 years. Other than Stargate Origins, which is a web series in 2018 that was so far off the radar, even most hardcore Stargate fans out there have probably never heard of it if you're not active online. So it's been 15 years, right, since Stargate Universe went off the air. If you're going to revive a big franchise like that, you've got to appeal to a bigger fan base than just the core audience members who were watching SGU and Atlantis back when they were on air. Those of us who are still alive, right? That fan base has been shrinking through attrition over those 15 years. And then, of course, also growing and expanding as Stargate was available on DVD and on eventually on Blu-ray, and then hit streaming services. It's been on Netflix. It's been on Prime Video. So a whole new generation of fans were discovering Stargate. Apparently, based on this report at Variety, that's not enough for Amazon execs. Just to get people who currently know and love and watch Stargate, just to get them to watch the new show, would not be enough. That much makes sense to me. This has to be a show that expands the bucket, that grows the Stargate family, as it were. Here's David. He'll see that we're online in a minute and hopefully text me. Let me just open another window so that I can message him. You've got to grow the audience, right? You need, especially if you're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on it. We never heard what the budget was. We don't know what the actual budget is. But if you're going to spend that kind of money, you want it to appeal to the masses. You want a big sci-fi hit. You want it to be a new franchise, a new tentpole for your streamer. I understand that logic, right? So they wrestled with this for a couple of years after buying MGM. And what are they going to do? Are they going to reboot the franchise? Are they going to make movies? Are they going to make a TV show? Are they going to give it back to the original creators? Are they going to bring Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich, the original creators? Or are we going to continue the TV universe and continue the existing franchise without wiping away all those years of canon? We had a lot of reason to be confident, right? We had a lot of reason to be confident. Spino Breaker, thank you for the $5. Appreciate it. Spino Breaker Need to get online and get Stargate Now trending again. Absolutely. Hashtag Stargate Now. We had reason to be confident because they announced a new show. Finally, after 2 years, Amazon's finally made their decision. This is what they're going to do with the franchise. This is what all the giant heads have decided is the best way to bring back the franchise and make it big. And so they gave a green light to this project. And now, what are we? 6 months after? Yeah, a little over 6 months after the announcement. The writer's room started in January. They pulled the plug. They've decided, no, we were wrong. That's not the best way to revive the franchise, because we're worried that this is only going to appeal to a handful of people, to that smaller fan base. David is ringing my phone off. I gotta text him real quick. So back to the story. That's the nail in the coffin apparently for this series. The worry that it would not have broad appeal beyond the fan base. And the fan base is dedicated. The fan base is global. There are millions of Stargate fans all around the world, which is exactly what Amazon wants. Amazon wants a global audience for a streaming show on Prime Video. The rest of the story here is mostly a recap of how we got to where we are. Although they do add, although Garrow's series will not proceed, Amazon is still exploring new ways to further the franchise. So again, Stargate is not dead at Amazon, but this isn't going to be the project. This isn't going to be the revival that we thought it was going to be. No plot details were ever released for Garrow's take on the show. Safe House Pictures was producing. Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich had production credits. Brad Wright and Joe Malazzi consulting producers, and we know that Joe was also writing a script. So that's that, and then this is Gateworld's write-up. This is my write-up that I did an hour ago, which doesn't add anything materially new other than I have confirmed with our sources that this report is true. So it's a bummer, and I wanted to come on and not only share this with the YouTube audience, but process this together as a Stargate fandom family. I want to hear from you guys. I want to read some of your comments. Hopefully David will come on here, or any of our other friends who might be around and available and want to hop on stream. David's message says, please tell everyone I'm thinking about them and I will post tomorrow. So be sure that you're following Dial the Gate here on YouTube to see a message from David about the cancellation tomorrow. I know that he has been in France for the big showcase of the Children of MacGyver. Showed off their 1/1 Stargate replica, which is itself a good 15 years in the making. And we've got a photo gallery of that coming up on Gateworld. He's been working with them, covering their hard work and supporting the EMG team, the Children of MacGyver, at a big convention this past weekend in France. So I imagine David might be en route back home. Sad news. Let's see. Otherwise here, what I do in this story is I'm going to recap the Variety report that it would not appeal to the existing fan base. And then I just reflect a bit on the fact that the previous decade, the 2010s, saw a gold rush for continuations of recognizable brands. How many different shows did we see on Peacock and Apple TV and HBO Max? All these revivals, especially of shows from the 60s, not so much the 60s, shows from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Right? There's a new Punky Brewster. There's now a new Malcolm in the Middle. There's this, that, and the other thing, because the streamers were looking back into their archive, right? So if you're NBC and you're launching Peacock and you're trying to get subscribers, you look back into your archive. What are all the shows that we own? What's all the IP, the intellectual property that we own? Let's put Family Ties front and center. Let's put Punky Brewster and The Office front and center so people can rewatch those old shows on our streaming service. And then let's make a new one. Let's appeal to nostalgia and make a new whatever it is. Right? So there was kind of a gold rush. Star Trek had a great decade. with how many different new shows between live action and animation, how many different shows clustered around what was originally CBS All Access and is now Paramount Plus. But you know what? The business changes. Business changes on a dime. And just a few years later, the business model for these shows is harder to support. I think you can't just play the nostalgia card and think you're going to grab 100 million new subscribers to your platform with a spend of, I don't know how much they were thinking of spending on the new Stargate series. So I think we're going to get some new information down the road. There's no comments on the record today. We just know that the show's been canceled. Canceled before they cast the show, before they started filming. We do know that they were aiming to start production. They were going to cast over the summer. In fact, last time we talked to Martin in March, I think he said they'd already started some preliminary casting, looking at some people. So we were expecting them to cast over the course of the summer. Maybe by the end of the summer, we'd get a cast list announcement, maybe some character descriptions, maybe a basic plot of what the show was about, where it was set. And then they were going to start principal photography based in London in the fall. I was even looking at getting my passport renewed so that I could go out to London in the fall. That's not going to happen now. But guys, what do you think? We're here to process this together, mourn together. I'm going to do my best to not swear or read a bunch of swears, but you guys process the way that you need to in chat, and we'll see what's going on. Sarah Spare Corner says, I wonder if they had a test pilot like the Buffy reboot had. Yeah, so we brought up the Buffy reboot cancellation had recently been announced when Martin was on the live stream last. And we said, like, okay, so is this a done deal, or is this something that could get canceled? Like the Buffy reboot just got canceled. And Martin was pretty confident at the time that this was not that situation, right? Hulu commissioned a pilot for Buffy New Sunnydale. They had a script, they retooled some things, they moved some things around, they shot a pilot, and the pilot didn't work for whatever executives finally made the call. They were not happy with the pilot. That's the sort of traditional network pilot process, right? For Stargate, this was a series order. This was fill in the blank number of episodes. We think it was going to be 10, but it was never confirmed. They ordered a first season of the show. This is not Amazon's first go at canceling a show that they had previously greenlit. I watched a show called The Peripheral on Prime Video a few years back. This was a kind of futuristic genre series from Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. And enjoyed the first season, looking forward to more. They greenlit a second season of The Peripheral. And then a few weeks or a couple months later, they changed their mind and they unrenewed it. So it's not the first time. I mean, Amazon is always, right? They're always crunching their numbers, running their data. And for whatever reason, they decided that this wasn't going to work. Ibrek Bryce says, we've got a Deadline article. The decision is said to be tied to major creative disagreements with Amazon's strategy, deemed too significant to be resolved through a simple rewrite. Let's go take a look at the Deadline article, but first, let's see. Spina Breaker with another $5 Australian. Thank you, friend. Spina Breaker says, I'm open to rendering ship models, doing things that people want to see, and I'm going to start posting hashtag Stargate now on Mastodon and Blue Sky. Let's go. There's going to have to be another plan, right? There's going to have to be another strategy for fandom to revive this franchise. But if this has happened chiefly because they were uncertain, they weren't confident that that fandom alone, right, the existing fan base was enough to support a big budget streaming series. I don't know if fans making noise is going to do it. I don't know if going to Gate World is going to do it for getting the next thing green lit. Let's see what Deadline says. All right. Stargate has become a high-profile, likely casualty of the regime change at Amazon MGM Studios. The reboot of the popular MGM IP from Stargate veteran Martin Garrow received a series order by Prime Video in November, will not be going forward, Deadline has confirmed. The decision to pull the plug is made late in the process. Who's the author here? This is Nelly Andreeva writing. I hear the show had completed a 20-week writer's room and was in pre-production in the UK. It was explained with the new series vision and creative direction, which allegedly no longer aligned with Amazon's programming strategy. No longer aligned. I wonder if the programming strategy has changed in the last 6 months, and that's the culprit. The differences apparently ran so deep they required an outright cancellation versus retooling the existing version of the project by giving notes to Garrow, a veteran showrunner who had been signed into an overall deal by Amazon MGM Studios for the purpose of him spearheading Stargate. Ironically, the new Stargate was green-lighted by Amazon MGM Studios head of television, Peter Friedlander, in one of his pickup decisions. Early in the fall, series had been under the purview of Brett Fetter, didn't start until February. Deadline's great for industry insider analysis. So this is sort of behind the scenes, what's going on, who are the players involved. Other folks at Amazon MGM, where they were when all this was happening, restructuring at the studio. Stargate was among the first MGM titles identified for series or film adaptations following Amazon's $8.5 billion acquisition of MGM in 2022. The studio may revisit the IP with another showrunner, or possibly someone who does not have a history with it and would give it a fresh perspective. Meanwhile, Martin Garrow still has a deal at Amazon MGM Studios and will be focused on developing other projects. And then here's the summary of what Stargate is. Boy, that's a kick in the gut. Yeah, S.J. Horton, I can't imagine how heartbroken the writers must be. OBS disconnected. Make sure we are still live here. Windows says OBS is trying to reconnect. Are you guys still with me? Are you still hearing me? Oh no, stream froze. Okay. Reconnection successful. All right, we froze. Sorry about that. OBS decided to stop talking to YouTube. So we're back. Yeah, imagine being in that writer's room and you get the tap on the shoulder to come be a part of this. And they were working for 3 or 4 months. They were spinning ideas and writing scripts. And then your show gets canceled before a single frame of film has rolled. Axed, yeah, if you guys are just joining us, and let's look at our numbers here. Where are we at? 460 people here right now. If you're just joining us, we've learned this afternoon that Amazon MGM Studios has canceled the new Stargate series that it was in development from creator Martin Garrow. This show was towards the end of its writing period. They had started preliminary casting, Gate World had learned. And Gate World reported exclusively a couple of months ago that they had chosen London, the London area, as their chief filming location. So they were getting ready to set up shop and start principal photography in London, as well as location shoots around the world starting this fall. And that's all gone now. Originally reported by Variety and confirmed by Gate World, and now confirmed also by Deadline. The report is that there's been some sort of strategy change behind the scenes at Amazon, and that doesn't seem to fit with Martin Garrow's plan to revive the franchise as something that is a continuation of the existing canon, something that will appeal to the existing fan base, and not reboot or reset the universe. So I'm feeling my feelings. What are you guys feeling too? Hannah HK lost jobs too. Yeah. this is going to have ripple effects for an industry and a lot of people who were spooling up and looking forward to working on a new Stargate show until Amazon figures out what they're going to do next and who's going to be in charge of it, and is it going to be a reboot. Now we're falling back into that discussion. We're going to spend the next who knows how many months or years talking about the potential of a reboot. Joey After Midnight feels like the rug was pulled out from under them. I get that sense. I get that sense that this was pretty sudden and pretty shocking to a lot of people. Nunya, I am done with streaming and networks. I've canceled everything. Prime can drop off a cliff. Raskus, our house says, no, 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 no. I feel it. I feel the same way. Jeff at Suns and Shadows cast. This is defeating news. I'm glad you guys are here with me. The chat's currently scrolling faster than I can read it, but I'll shout out some of these if you want to share your thoughts, your feelings. Yeah, Carry On of Romance. Maybe they could still do a movie down the line. It sounds like Amazon wants to do something. They've just gone back to, we need to find something that fits with today's strategy. This show that was announced back in November fit with November's strategy, apparently, and the new show and its core audience of Stargate fans around the world apparently don't fit with the new strategy, at least according to Deadline's reporting. Yeah, Martin Ritter, I agree. No reboot. We can't throw this universe out. If Variety's report is to be believed, that a key factor in this is that they didn't think that Martin's idea was going to appeal to a broad enough audience beyond the core fan base. If that's the case, I don't know how you do a continuation unless you just put it on the shelf and come back to it when there are new executives and a new strategy that find value in fandom. Because that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling like fandom has been slapped in the face. Right? I have praised Amazon on this channel for making the right call. We were in this liminal space. Stargate could have gone a million different directions, and holy cow, I can't believe they actually did it. They actually made the right call. They continued the canon. They brought in 3 producers from the original TV series to do it. I was blown away. I was just gobsmacked that they had made such a great call and hired such a great crop of talent to do it. So what now? I'm not going to call for a ban or encourage you guys to unsubscribe. Everybody subscribes to different services for different reasons. I like the free shipping, and I'm currently not paying for it. I'm currently mooching off of someone else for my Prime subscription. But if you wanna show with your dollars what you think of Amazon right now, by all means. Nico Kiddo says, I hope Martin Garrow releases his pitch for the show to see the apparently bad idea Amazon says. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're ever going to find out what was in this, what this story was about. Martin said that, right, he was working on it for 18 months before we found out about it. So he said he had a stack of concept art that he was using to pitch it. I'd love to see all that. I'd love to report on it. Unfortunately, now Gateworld's looking at reporting on it not as the next Stargate series, but as a piece of Stargate history. This is yet another failure to launch. This is yet another set of people inside the studio who have decided, how do I say this nicely? Decided that we're all going to keep waiting a little while longer. Jeff at Suns and Shadows cast, thank you for the $5. We are family. They can't take away the Stargate we have and have had. Those will reign supreme. Those still exist. We will continue on. Absolutely. Well said. Thank you for that. It's small comfort. It's a silver lining on a day with bad news, but we have 354 episodes plus movies of some fantastic television that we can go back and watch again and again. They can't take that away from us. They can't take those characters away. Casually, Sandra, you're so nice, Darren. Thank you. I'm not trying to put a happy face on this. But I am trying to not be actively mad on a live stream. This is, I mean, just imagine what a new Stargate series would do for a fan site like Gateworld. Gateworld started in 1999. Gateworld's more than 25 years old. And I've been doing this almost my entire adult life. And it's been some lean years, right? 15 years since Universe went off the air. I went and did other things. I went and I finished a PhD and have been teaching. But the idea that Stargate was going to come back, that was exciting. Spino Breaker, another $5 Australian. Spino Breaker, why don't you at gateworld.net in your comments and I'll try to spot them and read them. I appreciate it very much, but you don't have to give me money over and over again. Stargate Now renders posted on Blue Sky under the Dinosaur Dave. Guys, go look up the Dinosaur Dave if you're on Blue Sky and find some Stargate Now. We need to get hashtag Stargate Now trending today, 5 minutes ago. Let them know the mistake. Stargate Now was one of our big hashtags for a couple of tweet storms that fandom was involved with, that we were involved with, that was organized by fans around the world to try and make some noise. It sounds like as good as any to revive for the future. M. Nickham says Amazon execs are as bad as the Ashen. Yeah, go watch 2010 tonight. Go watch 2010 with the Ashen. The Earth as Stargate fans and the Ashen as Amazon executives. This is really sad, right? Because I was feeling positive. I've spent the last 6 months defending Amazon. Because there's a lot of naysayers out there, especially in the YouTube comments. There's a lot of people who are just, nope, won't watch it. It's modern. It'll be woke. And that remained to be seen. But I've been defending Amazon. Really, I've been defending Martin. I have full confidence in Martin and Joe and Brad and that team to bring us a good show. I think those shows on Amazon that you don't like because you think they're too woke or politically correct or whatever vernacular you want to attach to that, if you don't like a show, I think that has a lot more to do with the writers and producers of that show than it does with Amazon execs. But today I am not defending Amazon execs. This is a bad decision. Stargate is a jewel. Stargate is one of the most important IPs that MGM owns, that Amazon purchased a few years back. It has the most potential, I think, of anything other than James Bond. And I understand you want to take your time. You want to think through all possibilities and you want to get it right. It's important to get it right and not have to reboot it again in 5 years or 10 years. But this was right. This was the way to bring it back. Because you know what? My opinion is that Stargate went away in the first place because of circumstances that were beyond the show, beyond the control of the writers, beyond the fandom. Yeah, we can look at the ratings for Stargate Universe Season 2 on Sci-Fi Channel. But everything that was going on with MGM's bankruptcy in 2010, with Sci-Fi Channel's new pivot to a new strategy that didn't include traditional hard science fiction, right? A show based in outer space on a spaceship. Wrestling taking over on Friday nights, the Friday night time slot on Sci-Fi Channel. There were other factors that caused Stargate to go off the air in the first place. It was not because people weren't interested anymore. So I felt like it took 15 years for the studio that owned the franchise to finally figure that out. That the show should never have gone off the air. The audience is still there and always has been. You just have to make the right deal. You have to make the right product, and then you have to make the right deal to put it out there in the right venue. And streaming services have given us a brand new way to to get shows, right? To get revivals of stuff that we love. It's like, back in 1999, 2000 or so, when Gateworld was first starting, Basic Cable was creating their first original scripted programming. That was a brand new thing, and all of a sudden, you didn't need to go to a network, right? You didn't need to convince Fox or NBC to air your scrappy sci-fi show. You could go to Basic Cable, where they only needed 1 million viewers, 1.5 million viewers, and be strategic in how you're going to foot the bill, how you're going to pay for the show. You've got international sales, you've got syndication deals. Eventually, you would have a DVD and home media market to help the show turn a profit. But 25 years ago, that was it. It was Basic Cable was the savior. Basic Cable rescued canceled shows like Sliders. Basic Cable gave a place for new shows that would never get picked up on a network to get picked up and have a shot. And we have had this explosion of science fiction. And then for a while, it was streamers. It was Netflix started doing original programming. And then, of course, 2018, 2019, we get the explosion of streaming. All the streamers come out and everybody wants original content. I think we're on the downslope. I think if they had done Stargate 5 years ago, it would have been a different story. But we're on the downslope now in terms of streamers being ready to spend a lot of money and invest in something like this. Geeky Boy 86 says, "I'm heartbroken. This is a sad day." Absolutely. I'm glad that you're here with us. This is a bit of a time to mourn for Stargate fans. Matt, look, geez, you're making us sound old, dude. We are old. If you are as old as me, I'm sorry. You are old. I gave up a while ago, pretending that I was one of the kids. What else do we think? How are you guys feeling? Jeff, if you're still here, do you want to come on and chat with me? I can send you a link if you want to talk. S.J. Horton says, broader appeal destroys the unique identity of a show. Audiences actually like unique things. Amazon. Audiences actually like unique things. They like good ideas. They like unique ideas, interesting stories. But also we love our favorite universes, right? We love Star Trek. I don't love every Star Trek show, but I'll sure check it out. We love Star Wars. Hellcat says, canceling it after the announcement is the worst move. Stargate fans can't keep riding this roller coaster. It does feel like a roller coaster. Up and down. We were waiting for so long for some news. And then MGM said, effectively, like, we're not greenlighting anything right now because the company's for sale. So we had to go back on pause and wait for the company to sell. And then Amazon bought it and we had to wait for the deal to close. And then the deal closed and Amazon, okay, we got to give Amazon time to figure out what they're doing with all of MGM's IP. And it's just been up and down and up and down. Mr. X Herox, I think Amazon doesn't know what a good show is. Steve Russ 84, hi from New Zealand, gutted about the news. Steve, glad you're here. Glad you're here. Jeremy Foucher Goulet says, I can't feel anything right now. I'm just in shock. Yeah. Yeah, we're just in shock. This is stunning, and live we're up to 600 people joining us. So let's recap here. Let's go back to Gate World, originally reported by Variety, and we confirmed here at Gateworld with our sources that Amazon has canceled the new Stargate series that was in development. This was a show that was being created by Martin Garrow of Stargate Atlantis to continue the franchise, continue the canon. Brad Wright was participating in this, co-creator of Stargate SG-1 Atlantis and Universe. Joseph Malazzi was participating in this, writer, executive producer on all three of those shows. It was a show that was going to be for the fans, but also look to expand the fan base and be a big blockbuster streaming series that would catch some eyeballs and get some attention and grow the Stargate family. And reportedly, according to Variety, Amazon's reason for this was that they were worried that the idea that Garrow was running with was not going to appeal to enough people outside of the core fan base. Deadline has added some color to that with their reporting that suggests there's been a change of personnel behind the scenes at the studio, at Amazon MGM Studios. And with new executives comes a new vision and a new strategy. And they apparently were looking at Martin Garrow's project and deciding it didn't fit with the new strategy. That's according to Deadline's reporting. So here we are, trying to figure out what to do next. There will be days for that, right? There will be a future where Stargate fans will rally, will be ready to move forward. We'll think about strategy and what we can do as fans to make noise. But right now, I might change my mind about this, but right now I feel like Amazon doesn't care about anything that we would do or say. If Variety's reporting is to be believed, the fan base isn't enough. So who cares about appealing to the fan base? Let's just scrap it all and start over. I sure hope not. I sure hope not, because I still think it would be a massively bad idea. You've got to be able to do both. You need the existing fan base and you need to grow the audience. You can't have just the existing fan base and not appeal to anybody else, as much as you and I would love it and would watch that show. And you can't, on the other hand, burn all your fans. Make your existing fan base hate the new show and actively campaign against it because it's so different and so out of the spirit of what they know and love. You've got to find a way to do both. You've got to bring both sides in, both camps. You've got to start with your core audience and then grow it. So whatever they're going to do next, they've got to start with the core audience and then figure out how to grow it. Sorry guys, my chat is scrolling here. Ibrek, did you see my last message? No, I didn't. Let me scroll up and look for things that were tagged at gateworld.net. Sir Prime says, Stargate fan production. Stargate made by fans. Let's go. Yeah, if we learned anything from having Bryce Orrs on livestream last week, it's that, boy, fans are mega talented and the tools have advanced so far. We can get, production quality visual effects from fan productions now. Let's scroll back up here. Tonka Yu says, we already raised enough money to build the Stargate. Why can't we make it ourselves in the age of YouTube? We sure could. Fan productions, I think, are they're a big process, right? They require a lot of effort, a lot of talent and dedication, and a lot of money to get a good quality fan film up. Problem is then, fans, of course, don't own the IP, so you run the risk of putting something up on YouTube and it getting stricken. Amazon MGM has the ability to just take that stuff down. So some negotiation would have to be. Fan films are the way to go for the short term. Those creators have to figure out how to negotiate the use of the IP for a studio who just punched fans in the stomach. But I'd love to see it. I've seen some fantastic Star Wars and Star Trek fan productions. Yeah, Spino Breaker says, I was one of the heads of the original hashtag Stargate Now and did a heap of renders for that. Let's grow that again. We're going to need you, buddy. We're going to need you and everybody else with those talents. Once fandom figures out what it's going to do next, right? What we're going to do, how we can make our voices heard to Amazon. I hope that, right, express your disappointment, express your frustration, express your anger. But I hope that people who go out there and post comments on Amazon or directed toward Amazon will represent Stargate fandom well, right? Uh, uh, be mad, be clear, and keep it classy is what I would encourage us all to do. Bryce, I'm scrolling back here, and here's one. Has Amazon's rapid AI progress since a few months led it to rely more on technology, on the AI technology and its creative process? And could that be why it clashes with former writers and producers? Yeah, how much is AI and the use of AI in not just the technical side of television production, but potentially in the creative side? How much of that is a factor? I don't put anything past the suits, right? When we get executives whose job it is to make decisions about what they think is good TV, uh, and they show their wisdom by doing something like canceling this project when they did. I don't put a lot of confidence in their ability to use AI wisely. I don't know what the status of AI inside Amazon is right now. Joey after midnight, Amazon is going to lose so much money and clicks over this, they have no idea. I hope so. I think that's the case. I think that a new Stargate series could be a huge success. We could help to make it a huge success, even above and beyond our own fandom. But they won't know the difference if they don't put the show up. So they literally have no idea. Deca J's got a happy comment. Two great things happened in 1994. Stargate came out, and I had my son. Still love them both today. That's great. Stark GER says, so if I get this right, they said Garrow Show wasn't the right thing to connect to the existing fan base. So maybe they are, do we know whether or not they continue to look for a way to revive it? Yeah, not that it wasn't the way to connect to the existing fan base, but according to Variety's reporting, Amazon is worried that the existing fan base is not enough. That Martin's story is not going to grow the Stargate audience far enough beyond the existing fan base. Although that may be only part of the story. Do we know whether or not they continue to look for a way to revive it? Yeah, that's the report, is that Amazon is still interested in Stargate. They're not just going to shelve it. But I imagine it's back to the drawing board. I imagine they would be taking pitches. If there's a new strategy, how does Stargate fit with the new strategy? I'm losing my voice. I might not be able to keep this up much longer, guys. Okay, maybe I can talk for a few more minutes. Joey after midnight says, I kind of wanted to give them benefit of the doubt, but the simple answer is they hate Stargate. I sure hope that's not the case, right? So for a TV executive, I think it's the dollar. How much money can you make to increase shareholder value and put it on your resume? So I don't think it's personal against Stargate, but this was the problem also at Sci-Fi Channel is, and then MGM after the bankruptcy in 2010, uh, a new group of people come in, right? New executives come in. And if there's one thing that I've learned about Stargate being off the air for 15 years, it's you got to have the right people in the right places who are advocating for the show. You got to have people inside of MGM. You got to have people inside of Amazon on the Amazon business side who are actively advocating for the show. Now I sound like I'm just breaking down in tears, but I promise it's just allergies. The pollen count went up today, and it's bugging my throat. Benjamin Schrank says, for a company worth so much, you think they would take the risk with Stargate? I feel the same way. I feel like, boy, even if this was greenlit by a previous regime under a different strategy, it's been greenlit. You don't want to, punch the fans in the stomach and burn the whole fan base. So let's just go forward with it, make a season, see how it does. And if it doesn't live up, then cancel it. Try something else. It seems to me like it's worth the risk. Even if you cut the budget. I saw somebody post earlier today that, we don't need a $200 million show. Just make a show. Make it cheaper, but make it good. All right, what else do you guys think? Yeah, executive turnover, I think, is an issue. I don't know if it's the issue here, but it's an issue. Benjamin Schrank says, it gets to a point where you can afford it early on being risk averse. Fair enough. Yeah, there's risk aversion and there's risk aversion. It was something like 3 years after Amazon bought MGM before they announced what they were going to do with Stargate. And I was like, okay, I get it. It's a big property. You want to get it right. But at some point, you got to just make a decision. Eureka Lotto, how many Stargate fans just got burned and won't come back for whatever Amazon tries to make next? Studios, I think it's a good point. Studios are constantly negotiating with goodwill, the goodwill of the fan base, especially when you have an existing franchise with an existing fan base that is global and that is as vocal as we are. It's a resource. Goodwill is a resource. You got to treat it like a commodity. You got to treat it like something that's precious. And they just lit this on fire. So yeah, some people might not come back. Some people, based on the comments that I've seen since we've been on the stream, some people might just wash their hands of it and say, I'm not interested in anything that Amazon does now. Just let me know when somebody else owns it. I don't know how realistic that is. I think Amazon can make a good Stargate show. They just have to get out of their own way and do it. Get it done. Sarah asks, how reputable is the second source you gave? If you mean, so this has been reported by Variety, confirmed by Gateworld, and confirmed by Deadline. I can't tell you who my sources are, but they're 100% rock solid. This is done. Hopefully we'll find out more in the future. Right. I imagine that if we could get Martin back on another live stream, there's only so much he can say. He probably can't say much of anything. Um, but hopefully at some point the story will come out from his perspective. I would love to hear his perspective on all this, as well as Joe Malazzi and Brad Wright, people who are sort of in the know. But yeah, this is a for sure thing. We've confirmed it. Aaron Stark Linux says there is zero interest in good sci-fi, unfortunately. I don't know. We should have a stream and talk generally about the state of science fiction, TV and film. There's some stuff out there that I'm enjoying, right? It's not traditional franchise-based science fiction like Star Trek and Stargate. Star Wars has been a little weak sauce as of late, although I'm looking forward to season 2 of Ahsoka. But good sci-fi, yeah. I mean, I'm loving Silo right now. Silo is a TV show that one of those rare TV shows that makes me go and read the book. So I just finished reading the first book, getting ready for season 3 to premiere. But that's a different kind of sci-fi, right? That's dystopian, not spaceships and aliens. Good things to life. I'm sorry to ruin your day. He says, wow, I'm just gutted now. I was having such a good day too. Yeah, I was having a good day. This is bad news. Chris Shalom, this is not the news I was wanting to hear today. The days of good sci-fi seem to be over. GPZ0, is Amazon just saying they're too lazy to make anything good? Venture Pictures, how can there be a future when the brand owners don't care? Yeah, I mean, hopefully there are people inside of Amazon MGM who who know Stargate and love Stargate and actually care about something other than the dollar. I'm trying to catch up with live now. Jeremy Foucher Goulet, Stargate made the top 10 on Netflix and the fandom isn't big enough? Please make it make sense. I can't. As far as we know, Stargate SG-1 is a good performer for Netflix. How that figures into Amazon's calculations for making a new show with a big budget, I don't know. Deadline has reported that the new executives at Amazon have a new strategy. So I will be looking for reporting, industry reporting that fleshes that out a little bit. What's the new strategy? How is it different from where they were 6 months ago? Today, I don't know the answer. Farscape 1714 asks, what is the future of Gate World now? We're still going to be here. Gate World is coming up on its 27th anniversary this fall. So I'm still going to do what I do. I'm still going to keep, writing articles and making videos, keeping up the website, expanding, growing, looking for new things to talk about, covering the latest news. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, but fewer hours per week. So I'll have more to say about that in the future. But I appreciate you asking. Kai Zokai says, confirmed by Joe Malazzi too. Okay, let's go to Twitter and see what Joe has to say. Yeah, this is what you want to do on YouTube, right? Read Twitter. First thing here is Bryce reposted. Michael Shank says, yep, they did that. New Stargate TV series has been axed at Amazon. Bryce spit take. Bryce, you're in my feed a lot. Okay, we're going to look for Joe. See what executive producer for the new show, Joseph Motzi is a consulting producer and writer. Must be in a reply. Searching. My phone is ringing. Okay, our friend Summer Roy. What the heck? Gay World out here breaking hearts today. I know it's tough to be the messenger. There are no words for this. Just pull the rug out from under us before it had a chance. This furling is so disappointed, but I won't give up. Joe's response to Summer is, to be fair, it's not Gate World breaking hearts. That's for sure. We get to bring you good news by reporting on Stargate. We also have to bring you bad news when it happens. Is it true the new Stargate has been canceled? Joe says sadly yes. So, what else? We don't have to beat a dead horse, guys. But I want us to give us a chance again to process together and to be mad together and feel our feelings together. Hellcat says, if Amazon does a reboot, I may not watch it out of spite. Yeah, man. That's one of the things that kills me the most about this is that we have to have the reboot conversation again, that comes back on the table as a possibility. I was so glad that we could finally stop talking about, is it going to be a reboot? Is it going to be a young Jack O'Neill and Daniel Jackson recast with 20 or 30 something actors? Final Breaker says For All Mankind isn't bad. Ooh, I love that show. I love me some For All Mankind. I have not watched the new season yet. I'm gonna binge it all. But that is a good show as well. Hank717 with £6. Thank you, friend. This is the money I would have spent on Amazon Prime had they not canceled it. I hope they will at least keep the original writers if they try again. Yeah, you hope that at least if they're going back to the drawing board and looking for a new story, that they would still be open to the original creators' participation and not rebooting it, right? Continuing the canon, even if it's got to be a big time jump, right? Even in the present day, right now, it's going to be a big time jump. Do a time jump and reinvent it. If it has to be more of a reinvention than Martin was planning. Amara Productions, I have no plans to watch any new Stargate from Amazon if they're just going to crap on us. I think we'll get something eventually. We're all going to have to make our decision as to whether we're going to watch it, depending on what kind of project it is. Patrick87 says, I like Foundation. I agree. Foundation's a good show. I'd say it's not a great adaptation, but it's a good show on its own merits. Invisible Painting says they felt it was a risk moving forwards, but reversing this decision is also a big risk for them. This could backfire. I think that's right. But again, those of us in fandom who are active online, who are going to go on a live stream and talk about it an hour after the news breaks, we're a tiny minority of Stargate fandom. So I think most people out there who watch the original series and would consider themselves fans, like actively fans of Stargate, they probably didn't even know that the show had been greenlit. So how big is the impact going to be? Dank Sinatra says, Star Wars died to me around Mando Season 3. Stargate coming back made that wound easier to heal. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, right? Guys, find something that you love to replace this. For the time being, just for now. Find a new show that you haven't checked out yet. Go online, get some recommendations. Whether it's an old show, a classic series, something more recent, more modern, or something that's on right now. Find something else to love, because we're going to be waiting for this. We're going to go back to waiting for Stargate. We're going to go back to no news for a long time, I think. But we'll keep digging. I'll keep digging at Gate World and see if we can get some more information. We can get some more people on the record or on background to give us more information about what's happened here, how this is all shaken out, and what it means for the future. Got some recommendations in the chat for Dungeon Crawler Carl, which must have some kind of marketing budget, because I'm seeing that franchise all over these days. Yeah, sorry, Paul Brickler. It's June 2nd, not April 1st. And that's not April Fool's Day. This is just bad news. That's not what I want to bring to you. As the guy who covers Stargate news, I don't want to bring you the bad news. RDDVLS reminds us Silo Season 3 drops in a month. If you have any interest whatsoever in the dystopian subgenre of science fiction, Silo is a terrific series. I definitely recommend it. Jack ER, what does axed mean? Axed is parlance, right? This maybe doesn't translate outside of English. Axed is parlance for Amazon picked up a hatchet or a larger axe and chopped this thing to death. Axed, it's been killed, it's been cut off, it is kaput, it is an X TV show. Michael Tripp says, I guess we will never see the original actors on screen for Stargate now. I mean, don't give up hope, right? The original cast members, a lot of them are still young enough to act. A lot of them are still in the business. So if Amazon can figure out what to do with this franchise and get a project going, we could still see Carter again. We could see Daniel again. We could see Shepard again. Isn't Axe that deodorant? Oh, that's something different. Aaron Stark Linux cancelers gotta cancel. Yeah, I mean, TV executives, boy, they're kind of cut from the same cloth, aren't they? We thank them for the good shows, and TV executives love nothing more than to break our hearts and drink our tears. South Wales Magpie, my 10-year-old son just started watching the show, now on SG1 Season 9 and SGA Season 2. Calls it his favorite shows ever. Was excited for the new show. He's really going to be sad about this. I'm there with you. I got to go break bad news to my family, as if this day could not get any worse. Frank Wren says, had no faith in Amazon anyway. Really doubt they are the publisher for this. I don't know. Short of Amazon licensing it out to a different production studio, I don't see us getting a non-Amazon Stargate show anytime in the near future. I like The Expanse too. Yeah, Expanse. Guys, if you haven't watched The Expanse yet, I'm sorry to say it's streaming on Prime Video, but it is my favorite science fiction series post-Stargate. It's in my top 5 of all time for sure. Go watch 6 seasons of The Expanse. It's very rewarding. Jerry McKay, this really, really sucks, man. I feel like I want to cry. Yeah. Find your favorite episode of Stargate to watch, right? Find another show to replace this in your heart, in your sort of what you've been looking forward to. But put in some Stargate. What episode comes to mind when you want to feel good, when you want a warm blanket, when you want a big bowl of macaroni and cheese? What episode of Stargate do you think of? You just thought of one, didn't you? Go and watch it tonight. Phoenix 27 Blue, just because it was geared toward fans doesn't mean it won't appeal to new viewers. I certainly think that's the case. Stonewolf asks, did they say why it was axed? What we've learned from Variety, who originally reported the news, was that Variety says that They were worried that Garrow's take on the series would not have broad appeal beyond the franchise's already dedicated fan base. Deadline's report has added a little bit of color to that in that there are apparently new executives at Amazon MGM Studios, and they have a new strategy for what they want to do, what they want to do with their studio, what they want to do presumably with Prime Video as well. And Martin's take on Stargate doesn't fit with that very well. So take that for what you will. If you're looking for a reason, that's as close as we have today. Now, a little over 2 hours since the news broke that the new Stargate series has been canceled before filming began. BISOB says, it always annoys me when these companies buy these classic IPs, stop fans and smaller folk from making anything with them, and then also refuse to do anything with it themselves. I agree. I think it's only a matter of time before they do something with it. I think Amazon can make money from Stargate, and so therefore they will figure out an idea and they will actually produce it. Spino Breaker has some more suggestions if you're looking for science fiction when you're not watching Stargate. Spino Breaker recommends For All Mankind, which I co-sign. Silver Sun for teens. Haven't heard of that. Hyperdrive, UK comedy. Space Above and Beyond, classic. That's classic 90s sci-fi with one season. I enjoyed that show. There are so many to choose from. There's some classics out there from before my time that I've never gotten around to watching, like Space 1999 from the 70s. And I was thinking about rewatching that. But watch The Expanse for sure. Watch, if you're a fan of Joe Malazzi and Paul Mully's writing, watch Sci-Fi Channel's Dark Matter. Unfortunately, that also got canceled before it was done. But there's 3 great seasons. Aaron Stark Linux says, The Orville is good. I agree. The Orville's a good show. It's an acquired taste, and it's a show that figures itself out as it goes along. The 3rd season of The Orville I thought was really exceptional. Kane Hoon recommends Babylon 5, another classic. B5 and Farscape. If you haven't watched them yet, watch Babylon 5 and Farscape. Venture Pictures, 90% sure Kurtzman is the pick. If you're talking about Stargate, that's not going to be the case. It's way too soon for them to have chosen somebody else. Have even taken pitches, I think, from somebody else. History B 5786. My favorite blanket episode is all of Stargate SG-1 in Atlantis. Have at it. You're going to be busy for a while. You're not going to be able to binge watch those this evening, but get it started. Yeah, Travelers by Brad Wright too. Leos Lilifix. Travelers is on Netflix and it has 3 great seasons of science fiction. Go check that out. Tell us what's your favorite blanket episode? What's an episode that makes you feel good just watching it that you might put on tonight? Let us know in the chat. Bitcoin Capital with $5 says execs are short-sighted, built-in fan bases evangelize and help build and expand the quote-unquote modern audiences. Yeah, I think it's wise to just conclude, particularly when you're reviving an existing IP, that the fan base is an asset. You have to leverage that asset right. So how amazing was it that Martin and Amazon came to Gateworld and Dial the Gate to make the announcement to begin with? I was honored to do it, but I was more encouraged by the fact that it was such a great sign. That it was such a pro fan move that Amazon was happy to do. It's Ellie XOXX, Elephant in the Room. What happened with the new series? If you are just joining us, let's see. We are still over 500 folks in here. If you're just joining us, yeah, the new Stargate series that was in development from Martin Garrow for Prime Video has been canceled. The news broke today at originally at, wait, where are we here? Wrong browser. Variety broke the news, and Gateworld has since confirmed that the new show is not going to be moving forward. They had wrapped up the writer's room. They were writing scripts for the series. They had begun preliminary casting. Martin told us that on a live stream in March, that they had started some preliminary casting, looking at some faces, thinking about some names, and they were aiming for a fall production start. And that's not going to happen now. Farscape1714 says, gonna rewatch Fringe. Fringe is another good show. I recommend Fringe as well, if you haven't seen it yet. Farscape, shouldn't you be recommending Farscape? Batmole 3, 12 Monkeys is a good series. Yeah, that's another one of those post-Stargate Sci-Fi Channel series that I liked. There's only a few of them that aired on Sci-Fi Channel. But 12 Monkeys from Terry Matalas was very well done, very interesting, and has some familiar Stargate faces turn up on it. Mazukak says, the disappointment I feel is immeasurable. I will have to process this by watching my favorite popcorn episode, Space Race. Good pick. Then maybe my favorite overall episode, Be All My Sins Remembered. Good picks. Judah Khan says, I'm watching Foothold tonight. Screw Amazon. Yeah, Foothold is one, right? Season 3 of SG1 is where I really sort of truly fell in love with the show. That's when Gateworld started, was when season 3 was airing. So most anything from season 3 I can put on, and it's just like visiting with an old friend. Chuckles R Us says, I fear in the end Amazon's new strategy version of Stargate will be the equivalent of the MacGyver 2.0 version. Just saying. I never watched the new MacGyver. The Lucas Till, is that his name? Reboot of MacGyver. Didn't interest me. Chris UC6TF, the Groundhog's Day episode of SG1. Yeah, if you are not sure what to watch tonight, go spin up season 4 and turn on Window of Opportunity. You're going to have a good time. Navia recommends The Knox with Armin Shimmerman. You can find that in season 1. James Miner just saw the news and I just can't believe it. Yep, you and me both. It broke about 2.5 hours ago and I'm still stunned. We're here processing this news together. David over at Dial the Gate is going to have a video. I think he's going to record a video and post it tomorrow. He told us. So look for that there as well at Dial the Gate. Aphoacon, I'm going to butcher your name. Ridiculous, says Aphoacon. They accepted his story ideas, then cancel it. It probably was going to be good TV and not some slop like every other series that Amazon has acquired. I have all the confidence in the world in Martin Garrow. He's written some of my favorite episodes of Stargate. I was so excited to see his vision of a show. Right, somebody who came up as a young writer on Stargate and was, trained by the likes of Brad Wright, was, mentored, to see when you give him the reins and let him create a brand new show in this universe, what's it going to be? Especially with a nice, good, healthy budget. I'm sad that we don't get to see it. Seth64 with $5 says, I'm so upset with this news. I've been enjoying theory crafting what the new Stargate would be with friends. Now we are just in shock. Sad day. Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that. Jeremy Van Pelt says, send it over to Apple. They seem to be making good sci-fi series. Yeah, they do. Apple's got some great shows. If they're interested in acquiring Stargate, they certainly have deep enough pockets to just buy it outright. Maybe Amazon and MGM need to just not be in charge anymore because they can't figure out how to get it done. And that's sad. That makes me sad to say. Again, I've been such a champion for the franchise and vicariously for MGM. And then when Amazon bought MGM, right, let's give them a shot. Let's give them all our hopes and dreams. Let's give them a big vote of confidence and see what they come up with. And what they come up with is greenlighting what could have been an amazing series, continuing the franchise, continuing the canon, and then yank it out from underneath us. Miritar85 says Murderbot was fun. Yeah, not a whole lot of episodes for Murderbot, but I enjoyed that. Looking forward to another season of it. Guys, I've got a few minutes left here if you want to hang out, but it'll be easier if you want your comment read. Tag me at gateworld.net, and it's easier to see them. Thanks, Sinatra. Thank you for the $10. Are there any actors we could reach out to who might know some big celebrities who could try working in our favor? I don't want to put anyone on the spot, of course. Thank you for that. Big celebrities working in our favor. I feel like if you are an executive, if you're a TV executive at some place like Amazon, big celebrities and what they want is kind of the last thing you're thinking about. I think if we're going to come up with a plan, right? If fandom wants to rally and come up with a strategy to get Stargate back, now that this show has been canceled, we need to think like executives, right? That's not necessarily headspace most of us want to put ourselves in, but you need to think like an executive. You need to think about budgets and spreadsheets. You need to think about stockholders. You need to think about added value. And I don't think a celebrity is going to get us there. I mean, convince Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos reportedly single-handedly saved The Expanse just because he liked it. So Daddy Warbucks, with deep pockets, who owns the studio, might be able to have enough sway. But otherwise, we just got to think, you know, what does a studio want? What does a studio need for its new show to attract viewers, right? To maximize its cultural impact, to come up with a new show that, you know, everybody's looking for the next water cooler show. They're not looking for a show that's going to do fine. And not everybody likes science fiction. They're looking for the next breakout hit. So think like a studio executive who's trying to build their own resume, right? I helped Amazon create this, as well as increasing shareholder value. I know it's not creative. It's a terrible place to be. Robert Coombs, can the fans purchase the Stargate IP? Short answer is no, never in a million years. But the longer answer is, I do think Amazon really does value Stargate. I think they're going to make a new show or movie or project of some kind. They're going to put money behind it. It will cross the finish line and come out because it is a valuable intellectual property. And they know that because they've been licensing it for the last 3 years. Just selling the rights, right? Licensing the rights out to Netflix to stream it, to all these international partners, Pluto, and all these places where it airs on TV or on streaming. They get residual dollars from that. Each and every time an episode of SG1 runs in repeats, they get a nickel. So they know the value of the IP. Spino Breaker says, the thing I'm most worried about is them dropping some AI slop instead. Yeah, we live in a funny world. Everybody's figuring out what AI is going to do to us in different fields, different industries. And in creative spaces like film and television production, it seems particularly tenuous. We had Lawrence Moroney on to talk about Stargate and AI a few weeks ago, and not surprised, but lots of negative comments, just not to the conversation in general, but to AI, right? AI as a principle has a really bad reputation right now. It has a PR problem, as I said. So even without watching the video and watching, I think Lawrence and I had a pretty nuanced conversation about how AI can be used in like technical aspects of production and in ways that don't replace people's jobs, but right, people learn to use it as a tool to enhance their productive output, but not necessarily using it creatively, right? Not AI actors, not AI bots writing scripts. That's not what we're talking about. I think that is pretty distasteful. Hunter Armstrong says, "This is so dumb. I'd been introducing a friend to SG1 in the lead up to the new series. We're starting season 7 tonight, and now I've got to tell them the new show isn't happening." Yeah, so that's all of us, right? Those of us who are in at the heart of Stargate fandom, we are the ambassadors for the franchise. We are the ones who, right, instead of having our friends discover Stargate when they're just flipping through Netflix, we're the ones who are going out and recommending it to people, getting people into it, recommending it. Uh, that's you do something like this, and you're burning your fan base, and it. I mean, it doesn't make it harder for me to recommend Stargate SG1, Stargate Atlantis, Stargate Universe, but but it stinks. Philippe 8742. What a birthday gift. Worst birthday ever. I'm sorry, it's your birthday. I mean, no, I'm not sorry it's your birthday. Happy birthday. I'm sorry that you got bad news on your birthday. Suns and Shadows Cast says, we will also be having a Stargate stream later tonight on our channel. We do a weekly Thursday show anyways. Yeah, so Suns and Shadows here on YouTube streams every Thursday night at 8:30 Pacific time. They're doing Stargate Rewatch with 2 episodes per week. Go check them out for more talk on this breaking news today. Towering Inferno says, unfortunately, the executives are scared to take a leap of faith as they are worried about their own returns. You never succeed in life unless you take chances. Yeah, it's got to be weird because at some point they got to take risks, right? Executives, you want to be the one to greenlight the next big hit, the next big water cooler show. And, something like Lost looked potentially disastrous on paper. It was a risk for sure. And then it becomes a big hit and gets a big audience, and suddenly you're a visionary. Raj Luthra asks, is there a way we can change their minds to get Martin Garrow's Stargate back? How about us fans call and email Amazon to complain? I don't know if this ship has sailed or not. When Stargate SG-1 was canceled in 2006, we were in touch with the producers of the show, and they were at a spot with MGM where, forget Sci-Fi Channel. They were at a spot where if the fans rallied, then they could use the fans rallying as a tool to at least go to other partners and maybe sell the show to another, do an 11th season with a different outlet, or do the DVD movies that they eventually ended up doing. Oh, now I'm losing my voice again. Hold on. But I don't know if there's any chance of changing anybody's mind today. Contact Amazon. Let them know how you feel about it. Jerry McKay says, favorite SGA episode is Spoils of War. So there you could watch Be All My Sins Remembered and then Spoils of War as a 2-parter. Jerry says, also, I'm thinking one of the reasons the show was canceled is because Martin Garrow didn't want to make it woke. Um, I don't know what was going on in conversations with Amazon's executives. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know what the pressures might have been. I don't know if there was something that there's no reason to think that Amazon was trying to push him to do something with the show that he refused to do, and that's the reason it got canceled. More likely, based on what little information we have today, it would seem that they looked at the project, knew that most of the money hadn't been spent on it yet, and just decided to pull the plug. Matthew Hammond, thank you for the $2. I wondered if it was too expensive. I don't know if you could convince Amazon, but I do feel like we would have a much better shot with a cheaper show, with a less expensive show. Visual effects today are a marvel, and nothing's free, but I don't think you need $200 million or whatever the budget might have been for 10 episodes of television. You can make a big splash. You can make a big impact with a good show, even if you don't spend a lot of money on it. Chris Hall says, I want to know what happened to the Destiny. So say we all. Yep, guys, I appreciate you being here with me. The chat scrolls faster than I can read, so I'm just kind of skipping around a little bit. Sir Prime, I hope you're okay, Darren. Feel better, man. Yeah, it's pollen, dude. It's pollen, and it just catches me right here. I've never had this kind of reaction with allergies before, but it's killing me this month, this season. Brad says, this really hurts. I was so excited about this new series. The whole Stargate franchise helped me get through all 4 of my back surgeries. I still watch it every year around my birthday. Yeah, Brad, the good news is the shows that we love have not gone anywhere. We can keep rewatching Stargate until they put us in the ground. I appreciate that. We've heard so many stories of right, how Stargate helped somebody get through the loss of a loved one or a surgery, a recovery of something. Story after story after story. Stargate is one of those special shows. Summer's here. Hi, Summer. Summer with $5 says, I'm sorry you had to be the bearer of bad news. I know this was a tough one to write. Everyone knows not to believe unless it comes from you. We love you. Thank you, Summer. I love you. You are fabulous. Love to all the Furling colony. Yeah, it's not fun. So here's the Gate World news story I wrote right after the news was originally reported by Variety. Not fun to write, but you know what's worse is an obituary. That happens once or twice a year these days. I'll end up having to write an obituary for a prominent Stargate actor. Those are the bad days as far as covering the franchise. Appreciate you guys being here. Kaizo Kai Joe Malazzi just made a post about it. Yeah, we looked at Joe's replies a minute ago. Joe's posted a statement on Twitter. Let's go back to Twitter and see if Joe has more to say while we are still here. Okay, Joe says on Twitter, sadly it's true, Amazon has elected not to move forward with the new Stargate series. There's not much I can add beyond confirming what's happened, but I will say this. Creator Martin Gero developed a new Stargate series over 2 years, ultimately crafting a show that offered a fresh jumping on point for new viewers while deeply respecting existing canon. It was a series that avoided the pitfalls of several modern remakes and reboots by fully embracing the core of its predecessors: action, adventure, exploration, wonder, heart, humor, and found family. And based on that creative vision, the new Stargate series was greenlit in November of 2025. As of today, officially that original vision is no more. we'll never get the opportunity to introduce you to that world and those characters, or to reintroduce you to and check in with some familiar faces from the past. My heart breaks for the incredibly talented writers who worked tirelessly to bring this show to life. For Martin, who maintained an unwavering positive outlook throughout, despite the challenges, and who always strove to make a show that would honor the fans while welcoming a new audience. And for the long-suffering Stargate fandom, who waited so long and came so close to getting a show they truly would have loved. Amazing. What do you think, guys? um, Not sure where to go next. I don't want to necessarily drive this all the way into the ground, but I do want to give us a space. Let's see who's online with us right now. We've still got over 500 people in the chat. We're glad you're here. And if you've joined us late, how long have we been going? Hour and 40. Wow. If you've just joined us, yeah, Gateworld has confirmed Variety's original reporting that the new Stargate series that was in development by Amazon MGM Studios for Prime Video has been canceled. The show is being created by Martin Garrow, who was a writer and executive producer on Stargate Atlantis. This is heartbreaking. This is shocking. We did not see this coming. The show had finished up its writer's room. As far as we knew, the writers were working on scripts, and some preliminary casting was taking place, and they were getting ready to start filming in the London area and subsequently globally this fall. So the show was still a ways away. The show wasn't going to premiere before the end of 2027 at the earliest. But it's stunning. It is stunning. It's one thing to get your show canceled, right? It's one thing to love a show, to know that not enough people are watching it and maybe it's on the bubble, and then it doesn't get renewed. It's another thing for a fandom to wait 15 years. Listen to me. 15 years. And then get a green light and get a new show that is astonishingly seems to be checking all the boxes. Continuing the canon, not rebooting, original creators involved, big budget. Get 6 months into that process and then have the studio change their minds. Say, hey, we finally figured it out. After 3 years, we finally figured out what we're going to do with this franchise. Here it is. Fans are going to love it. It's going to be awesome. And then 6 months later, they change their minds and just yank it. Say, no, we're going to do something else. We don't know what it is yet, but it's not going to be this. It's very disappointing. Phoenix 27 Blue says, Joe's tweet tells me they probably want a complete reboot. I hope that's not the case. It remains to be seen when they do something with Stargate. But Brad Wright told us that they passed on his pitch. So Brad was working on he wrote a pilot for a 4th Stargate TV series. Brad Wright is the co-creator of Stargate SG-1, Atlantis, and Universe. And before MGM was purchased by Amazon, he had a pilot script that he wrote. And he has said that when Amazon bought the studio, they decided not to move forward with his project. Okay. Now that they've greenlit Martin's project and then reneged on it, it's tough to see how they do a continuation that involves the original creators in a substantial material way. Maybe they will. I don't know, maybe in 2 or 3 years, maybe Joe Malazzi or Jonathan Glassner will come up with a brilliant idea that Amazon wants to charge forward with. The other possibility, of course, is that they bring in new creatives who have not been involved in the franchise up to this point, and those new creatives recognize the value of the fan base and say, we don't want to burn all these people. We love the lore. We love the Tok'ra. We love the system lords and the replicators and Zat guns and all of this mythology. And we know that there are millions of people around the world who love it too. We're going to take this as our starting point. Uh, that would be that'd be a happy middle, right? Between what we've lost here and a complete reboot from scratch. That would be a compromise. New creatives, new storytellers, but the same world. Ryan is here. RJB Malachor says, I think the saddest part is so many amazing people put so much effort and heart only to have the rug pulled from under them. Breaks my heart. That's well said. And that's right. Just us fans. This feels like a massive rug pull to fans, of course, who have so much invested, right? Our time and our emotion, our energy invested into Stargate and Stargate fandom. A lot of us use Stargate fandom as a creative outlet, like Ryan does, like I do, others who are here with us. But just imagine the folks who were working on the show, folks who were employed. If you're a showrunner like Martin Garrow, that's got to be the biggest bummer. I mean, yeah, you don't get to realize your creative vision, but also a bunch of people just got laid off. And a bunch of people who you were getting ready to hire in London can't get hired. Somebody may have gotten an offer, and now the offer has to be rescinded. So send up a prayer for folks who are working on the show who have really been impacted by job loss, because it ain't easy. Morris QPR says, we were getting everything we wanted, and now we're back to just hoping something happens in the future. So sad. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. It was tough. You guys remember, if you've been around the channel very much, I was running out of gas when it came to wishing and hoping and speculating about what Amazon might do with Stargate. I was pretty close last fall to throwing in the towel. Not closing Gate World, not stopping being a content creator, but just like, I'm not going to talk about it anymore because the rug has been pulled so many times, because they won't do anything, because they've had all these opportunities. It's tough now. It's tough to be in that spot. I don't want to go back into that spot. I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. But it's tough for fans. It's tough for all fans, not just content creators, of course, but all fans who had this to look forward to, who thought that something that we care about, something that's important to us, was finally coming back, and now it's not. Towering Inferno says, my fear is someone will create a new show in the same world, but is based on the rise of the Goa'uld centuries before. Yeah, I would watch that show. Not what I would pick, but I would watch a prequel. Hank717 asks, can't Garrow release the story to us at least? I expect that over the coming years, probably not days or weeks, but probably years, we'll get a general sense of what the idea was. Very general. I don't think we're gonna learn the story for a variety of reasons. Probably part of it is the same reason why Brad Wright is still holding the secret of Destiny and Destiny's mission close to the vest. Is I think a big part of that is because it's a story he is still hoping to tell someday. And hey, it's possible if Amazon does a Stargate project and it succeeds, we were hoping we might get a chance to, go back and revisit some of those stories. Let's do an SGU movie or miniseries that ties up that story for streaming. So it's possible that some of these elements might come back around. So I think creatives like Martin and Brad are probably wise to right, their creativity, their creative output is is what they do for a living. That's their work product. So I don't blame them for kind of keeping it to themselves. Hellcats, that would be okay as long as the new creatives don't hate old Stargate. I'm very concerned now that we might get Star Wars. Yeah, whatever you think of modern Star Wars, boy, for any franchise, for any IP, it takes the right person in the right job at the right time, right? To make the decisions that are in the best interest of the franchise long term and are just telling good stories. And I was so excited about Martin having the chance to tell a good story. Wow, Peace with War with $40. Thank you. I didn't have much faith in Amazon, but it still sucks not to at least have the chance to see something new for Stargate. I agree 1,000%. Um, I do still think, I mean, I don't feel like being optimistic today, but the realist in me really does think that we're going to get something new. We are going to get new Stargate from Amazon just because I think it's a valuable property. I don't know why they're taking so long. I don't know why they decided to cancel this one. Uh, but there's money to be made, so studio execs are going to do something at some point. Matthew Hammond with $5 says, what would a Netflix exec know about a TV series outside of Stranger Things? Most of their series have one good season, and then season 2 is terrible. Uh, Thanks for that, Matthew. Yeah, Netflix is it's its own kind of creature, isn't it? They've been in this streaming business longer than anybody else has. Uh, but we had to get used to when Netflix started having hits. We had to get used to those shows being canceled after 3 seasons. That was kind of their business model. Unless it was a breakout mega hit cultural phenomenon like House of Cards or Stranger Things, it wasn't going to get more than 3 seasons. Everybody, glad you're here with me today. Just listening to me yammer on, listening to me process bad news. I wanted to do it with you and not just by myself. So we'll spend a few more minutes here. 108 Danny says, Brad Wright just tweeted about it. It's not much, but worth a look. Okay, let's go back to Twitter. And we'll see what Brad has to say. Brad says, Martin and his team were doing amazing work, and I wish the world got to see it. I wish I got to see it too. That is from our Stargate daddy. Well said. I wish the world got to see it. I wish I got to see it too. Guys, if you see anything else on Twitter, anything else that's comments that are worth looking at, I've got a few more minutes here before I got to bug out. But please check out the news story over at gateworld.net. And I sure appreciate your support. I sure appreciate your support. Being an independent fan creator is a lot of fun, especially when the studio leaves me alone and lets me do what I want to do with their IP. But days like this suck. Days like this where you've got bad news to process and it's the end of all those plans, right? Guess what I was doing with the new show coming at the end of next year? I was starting to dream up a whole content plan. What do we do between now and the premiere? What do we do once the show premieres? How about we start a new podcast? How do we cover the new show when it starts streaming? What if they stream more than one episode a week? What if they drop 10 episodes at once? How do we cover that show? How do we do analysis and conversations and Easter eggs and all that? I was very excited. I still am very excited because, again, I think they're going to do something eventually. But I was excited to see this show. Nethershaw asks, do you know why Dial the Gate hasn't started streaming yet? Do you know what that man has been through lately? The whiplash, the inertial bloody damage. Yeah, I reached out, but before I went live today, a couple hours ago, I reached out to David at Dial the Gate and asked him if he wanted to come on, and no response from him for a few minutes. and then I don't know if he was on an airplane. He's been in France. He's been at the event with the Children of MacGyver showing off the Stargate replica at a convention this past weekend in France. So I don't know if he was on an airplane on the way back or if he was asleep, trying to get his circadian rhythm fixed. But he did message me back and said to give everyone his best, and he's going to post a video tomorrow. So be on the lookout on Dial the Gates YouTube channel tomorrow to hear David's thoughts on this. And then, of course, we'll all continue to talk about it as the days go on. Hopefully, we'll learn a little bit more information as the days go on. Let's see, what do we got? Chrome Seraph with 555 pounds. Thank you. James Bond is also taking a long time to come along. Amazon just seems to be slow. Thank you for that. Amazon is, well, at least they're being careful, right? That's the positive side of them taking so long with the IP that they purchased from when they bought MGM in 2022. At least they're being careful and deliberate. James Bond has its own baggage. The rights were kind of locked up in a way that eventually Amazon just figured out a way to buy out. So they threw more money at it, and now they can move forward with the next Bond project and figure out how to cast the next Bond. Dan Zimmerly says, a horrible way to find out. They were so good about coming to the fans with the news about greenlighting the series, but didn't come to us with the bad news. Hank says Gate World needs its poll updated. Oh man, I gotta go do that. I gotta go put a new poll up. What should the poll be? Give me some ideas for a good poll for Gate World. Something other than, how sad are you? Sad? Very sad? Extremely sad? Peace with War. I don't know if this is a second $40 or if I read this already. I didn't have much faith in Amazon, but it still sucks not to at least have the chance to see something new for Stargate. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think we will get something new. It's only a matter of time. What it is, who's making it, I don't know. We're gonna have to circle back. We're gonna have to circle back around and figure out what fandom looks like, what a campaign, maybe rallying Amazon for new Stargate, what that looks like in a next iteration, what our coverage looks like at Gate World. I'm sure David is also going to have those conversations with the Dial the Gate team, because we were all looking forward to covering a new show, talking with new people, meeting new cast members, new behind-the-scenes creatives. And that's all at least delayed now. Yeah, Jilted Valkyrie. How many decades until the next Stargate? Let's hope that this was just a false start and they're going to turn right back around and figure out what they're going to do and make another announcement this year. Because I don't want to wait another 15 years. I don't know about you. Raj Luthra, can Amazon just pause making Martin Garrow series and when it's the right time, continue making it? The wisdom of the television executive. I have no desire to plumb the depths of what goes on inside the heads of a television executive. But, you know, we've seen this before, as I said earlier, with Sci-Fi Channel, with MGM. One group of executives has a strategy for, you know, your network strategy, like a basic cable channel. And you green light certain shows that fit with your strategy, and then you get a different job and you leave. And now new people come in behind you and they're sort of saddled with all your shows, right? With all the stuff that you green lit. So I can only speculate about what might be going on inside Amazon MGM right now. But if Deadline's reporting is correct, and it's part of this is because there is a strategy shift with some executive turnover, then I mean, all of us, all the time, with every show that we love, we're always ultimately at the mercy of the people holding the purse. They've got their strategy, and they're going to figure out what they want to spend their money on. So no, I think just pausing it and coming back to it later is not an option. Yeah, Jenny Siven might know, says Joey after midnight. As I'm doing this sort of armchair industry analysis, I definitely want to talk to Jenny about this and get her insights. Luis Rebello says, I was only paying for Amazon because of Stargate. There is no good reason. Every time these people also end up making their money back one way or another. Yeah, let your wallet do the talking. If you're signed up for one of these streaming services and they cancel a show or don't have what you want, uh, turn it off. This is one of the things I love about the monthly subscription model that we have now is I can just turn stuff off. You don't have any more Star Trek for me to watch? Okay, you don't get my money this month. Hannah Ruby, thanks for the £5.99 petition for a Stargate fan series. Please continue with your work. Greetings from Stargate Germany. Thank you. Love you guys in the German fan community, French fans of Stargate, Italian fans of Stargate, Australians, Kiwis. I love our global fandom. Um, and it's, yeah, we still got each other. We still have the shows that we have, and we still have each other. And I think there will be a future for Stargate. I appreciate you guys, again, all being here with me live to process this. Yeah, buying the rights, leasing the rights. There's this famous story of Joe Malazzi after Atlantis was canceled, after Universe was canceled, getting together a group of investors and approaching MGM about leasing the rights to the Stargate brand for 10 years so that he could make a show and they could just not worry about it and just get paid. That didn't go anywhere. I don't know how realistic that is. Again, I think Amazon does value Stargate. I think they're going to do something with it. Uh, and apparently they canceled this show because they decided, maybe the new execs who weren't there 6 months ago decided that it doesn't fit with their strategy, with what they want to do. Yeah, Joe Flanagan. What did I say? Did I not say Joe Flanagan? Perchance says Amazon wants a new young audience, not the aging existing fan base. They're pivoting to a clean slate reboot. Boy, I sure hope not. But you know what? If there's another article on Gateworld in a few weeks talking about the possibility of a reboot, it's because it's back on the table. And it pains me to say that, but it's back on the table. Um, us older folks are also can be a desirable demographic in television because oftentimes we might have more loose change in the couch, more discretionary income than your, average 22-year-old. So I hope that they're not just going to make a show for 22-year-olds. Willard RS2, weird to see though, because they've gone from reboot to continuation 2 or 3 times already, no? Yeah. Um, Guys, this is not the first time that MGM has announced the return of Stargate and then canceled it. Do you remember the movies? Do you remember? It was 2014 when they announced that Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich were coming back and they were going to make a new Stargate movie trilogy. And they were going to reboot their movie trilogy. They were going to redo the first film with new actors and then do parts 2 and 3 the way that they had originally wanted to. They hired screenwriters, and that was in development for about 2 years. And then in 2016, it all fell apart. They decided this is not going ahead. Devlin lost interest in the project and walked away. Decided he didn't even want to work with studios anymore. He wanted to do independent financing for all of his projects. So there was a 2-year period, 2014 to 2016, where we thought Stargate was coming back and it was going to be a feature film, the first of a trilogy of feature films. This was before Independence Day resurgence, and that didn't happen either. So on again, off again. We're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, and now we're on the downslope again. But at least you have your favorite episode of Stargate to watch tonight. CJ Tibb says, I'm 26 years old, been watching since I was 10. The idea that younger generation wouldn't like retro stuff is odd. Yeah, I raised my kids on science fiction. I showed my kids Stargate. My oldest is now 20 and introducing his roommates to Stargate. They have Stargate viewing parties at university. Don't count out our 22-year-olds and our 26-year-olds for liking good quality science fiction. How we doing here? Kind of, kind of waiting for people to peel off. We're still at almost 500 people. I hate to cancel, or I hate to end the stream while you guys are still here and want to talk about this and want to process it. Because again, this is a reaction stream. This is just, we got punched in the gut with bad news at 2:30 Pacific time today, and we are just together as a fandom family processing bad news. So mourn, be sad, be mad, whatever it takes. But we're processing this news tonight that Amazon, MGM Studios, despite the fact that they had greenlit a new Stargate series back in November to be created by Stargate Atlantis veteran Martin Garrow, they've now canceled that show in pre-production, and it's not going to happen. Variety reported the news first, and Gate World confirmed it. Have you heard from Garrow? We're gonna reach out to Martin for sure and see what he can say, but um, I suspect that if he's able to tell us anything about what went down, it might have to be off the record. I don't know that we're going to be able to get him on a live stream again to talk about this. So let's give him some space. He's mourning too, of course. He's got to make all those great phone calls that he got to make in the fall before the announcement, telling people that this was coming. I imagine Martin's got to make a lot of really hard phone calls this week. Hopefully he was able to call some people before the news broke in the trades. Because yeah, that's the downside of the job. Javier Bumartinez. I'm 22 and I arrived late to Stargate. I watched it without knowing it had no ending. How I cried when I saw that SGU had no continuation. Yeah, I don't blame people who will only watch a show when it's finished and they know that it has a good ending. Have you ever had these conversations with people who were, you recommend a show to them and they want to know, like, did it end on a cliffhanger? Because I don't know if I want to get emotionally invested in 5 seasons or 10 seasons. If it doesn't end well, if I'm going to be left with my insides just squeezed by the last episode. I understand that. David does that. David has gotten into the habit of only watching shows after they've finished airing, which bugs me to no end because then I can't get him to go back and watch them. I can't get him to watch Babylon 5 or Farscape or The Expanse. They're on his list. He says he's going to get to them. But it's 2026. Get to it. There's a lot of good sci-fi out there. Yeah, RJB Malachor, we all just want to hang out and share our tears. Good. We'll also go, if you guys want to post comments on the Gate World news story, or go to Gate World Forum. We do have a forum attached to our website. If you like the old classic V-Bulletin style discussion forums, that's a place to share your tears as well and commiserate together. Yep, very sad day. Brad Wright posted on X. Yeah, we just looked at Brad's post. Let's just double check and see if he said anything more than this. Yeah, Brad just has this brief post from a little bit earlier. Martin and his team were doing amazing work, and I wish the world got to see it. I wish I got to see it too. So whatever your community of choice is, if it's social media, if it's Reddit, if it's Gate World Forum, find your people. People. If it's right here on YouTube with Gate World or with Dial the Gate, find your people, post some comments, share your sadness. Hey, bad news day. It's okay to be sad. We're gonna get through it. Stargate fandom is amazing. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna figure out what's next and wait for the next thing to come around that we can be excited about. Jeremy Foucher, we need a stream with Jenny Stiven soon to discuss it. Absolutely. If he's not already planning on it, I hope that maybe David will have Jenny and I back on Dial the Gate for a State of the Gate to talk about this and why it might have happened. Maybe Jenny has some people she can call and get a little bit more intel. Hellcat says, I'm getting that way too. I don't have enough free time to commit to watching something that's not complete. Yeah, I understand it. I tend to wait until a season is over. I'll watch a season at a time for a good binge. Farscape had an ending. Absolutely. We're almost there. We're watching Farscape with our kids and we're almost to the end. I haven't seen the end of Farscape in 20 years. It's been a long time since I did a full rewatch. Sir Prime is reminding us Gateworld has a Discord. Yes, Gateworld has a forum at forum.gateworld.net, but Gateworld also has a Discord. If you are the Discord type, that is new and growing community. We've got over 1,000 members on the Discord now. I will put the link to Gateworld's forum and Discord in the description of this video. But you can find it. Otherwise, if you go to any of our previous live streams, there should be a link to Gateworld's Discord in there right now. Did you see Malazzi's tweet from 30 minutes ago? Yeah, we did read Joe Malazzi's tweet. Really lovely, really well written. Lament for the loss of the show. And for the long-suffering Stargate fans who've waited so long and came so close to getting a show they truly would have loved. That's heartbreaking. And Joe's right there with us, right? Joe has worked tirelessly for years, keeping the flame alive, right? Keeping people engaged and active and interested in Stargate, participating in our tweet storms, helping to organize fans. What else you got for me? Felipe 8742. I hope Gateworld is not hosted on AWS. As far as I know, we are not, but who owns the company that owns the company that owns the company? Who leases to AWS? I don't know. I feel like most everything is probably running through AWS these days. Yeah, how do I say this? WS Pepsilon says it's going to be really hard to get excited ever again after this. I agree. This is an excellent point. Amazon is giving itself a problem. It's creating a new problem with fandom, which is Amazon bought MGM in 2022. We knew that they wanted to make use of Amazon's intellectual property, right? New shows, new movies, new projects, new video games. And they've announced just about everything, right? James Bond is in the works, new RoboCop project, new Rocky Creed, new Legally Blonde, Pink Panther, all this stuff, right? Vikings, Handmaid's Tale. These are Amazon's sort of crown jewel properties. And Stargate fans, I think we were pretty generous with Amazon. We gave them a lot of leash to not disappoint us, right? Don't reboot the series. Make a good show. We're going to be here for it. We're going to support it. We're going to go out there and campaign for it. We're going to be your marketing team, your guerrilla marketing force in countries around the world where there are Stargate fans. And look what they did now. Amazon is going to have a problem moving forward. With the next announcement, they have got to convince us, right? Once bitten, twice shy. A little, what is it? Peter and the Wolf? They're going to have a problem convincing us to get our hopes up again. That's a marketing problem for them. Killjoys was great. Yeah, 5 seasons of Killjoys. I also enjoyed that show. I would recommend Killjoys. Little run and gun, found family, action sci-fi. Welcome Ron H1777, who just joined Gateworld as a channel member. I appreciate you. Guys, if you're interested in joining Gateworld as a channel member, it's a few bucks a month and it supports me as an independent fan content creator. And I'm going to do my best to keep covering this franchise, even though today's a bummer. There's new videos in the works. There's new articles in the works for the website. I appreciate all of you very much. Yeah, Gansassalite. I'm feeling this too. Gansassalite says, "What the F? I'm absolutely furious. This was the only thing I was excited about in media. I've kept a lid on it for this stream. You know, I'm sad, I'm disappointed, I'm processing kind of intellectually how TV executives make their decisions, but I'm also mad. And I think today it's okay to be mad. We're going to figure out where we go moving forward, what's next for Stargate. But yeah, if you're mad, be mad. Toon Tamasha says also watch Sanctuary. Yeah, Amanda Tapping's fantasy show post Stargate is Sanctuary. That's 4 seasons that you can find on streaming. Perchance says Martin, Joe, etc. are all heroes. They fought the good fight, tried as hard as they could to deliver for the fans. But Amazon exec musical chairs and second-guessing brand strategy killed it. That's a good summation of what we seem to have experienced today. Martin, Joe, Brad, the writing team that they hired, the production team that they hired, they fought the good fight. They tried as hard as they could to deliver for the fans. I think they were making a great show. I think it would have been a great show. Amazon musical chairs, executive musical chairs, and second guessing. Living Coffee Edit says the fact they got over 1 million views on just a video about you guys talking about the announcement, not even a teaser or a trailer, yet they think not enough people will watch, is crazy to me. Yeah, that's just the Amazon Prime's video of the original announcement back in November. It has, I think last time I looked, almost 1 million views. It might be over 1 million by now. But that was just Martin and Joe and Brad and me and David talking about the fact that they were going to do this. There was no footage, there was no trailer, there was no cinematic, there was no animated logo. And that got over 1 million views. And then Gateworld and Dial the Gate also posted that. And I think Gateworld's copy might be close to 500,000 views by now. So I don't know who makes the decision at some point that, you know, based on what do you think that the existing fan base is not going to be big enough? And if you think the existing fan base is not going to be big enough to support the next project, to support the show that you're actively working on, my first reaction to that is do marketing better. Do your job. Marketing is a huge part of a release like that, especially when it's an ongoing existing IP that you're trying to revive. It takes a good marketing plan. So do your job. Don't just say there aren't enough people who are interested in something like this. Daniel Kolskar upgraded his membership to patron. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate you. You have always been here from the very beginning, and I appreciate it. WM Luke Priest 8012 with $4.99 says, do we know real metrics on Stargate post announcement? My feeds were just filled with Stargate news and fans, but that might be the algorithm. Yeah, you're going to see it for a few days, I think, based on the algorithm, in part just because it's big news that a lot of people are talking about. The algorithm will feed you Stargate content for a while. Metrics in terms of how Stargate was doing, right? What kind of numbers Amazon was seeing for, you know, streams of SG-1 Atlantis universe. I don't know, but the general sense that I've gotten is that it was pretty good. That it was enough to raise eyebrows and make them look, right? Here's a 25-year-old show as far as repeats go on older shows. And I think that's a big part of it. I know there's a temptation to cancel Amazon in response to this. There's a temptation to boycott anything that they do. And I understand that. And if that's your response, whether it's an emotional reaction or a strategic decision, I understand it. You respond the way you gotta respond. But I also feel like one of the best things that Stargate fans can continue to do is watch Stargate on Prime Video, because they get reports. They get reports of who's watching Stargate on their platform, how much they're making in licensing fees for Netflix and other platforms where you might be watching Stargate. They have teams that watch social media and will collate reports of, this traffic spike in conversation about Stargate happened the day that this news broke, and there was this sustained momentum talking about Stargate. Those metrics, right? They might be amalgamated, right? But they all get back to them. They all get back to the executive. Somebody writes that report. Okay. So the stream might just end when I run out of cough drops in my pocket. I'm not sick, it's just allergies. But let's see, we've been going here well over 2 hours. Wow. We still have a big group. Thank you all for being here with me. We are just processing bad news today. We are grieving together as a Stargate fandom family the loss of the show that we thought we were finally getting. And I'm losing my voice. Those of you who are looking for what David at Dial the Gate thinks about all this, he did message me right as we were going live and said he sends his best to everybody, and he's going to post a video at Dial the Gate here on YouTube tomorrow. David, I think, has probably been making his way back home from France, where he was at the convention this past week, where the EMG, the Children of MacGyver, showed off their 1/1 scale Stargate replica. We'll have a photo gallery of that coming up soon on Gate World. In fact, I can show you some photos. If you guys want to look at those. I gotta get it set up if you want to see photos. Raj Luthra, can Netflix purchase or rent the rights to the Stargate franchise and continue Martin Garro's series? That's interesting. I think in theory anything's possible, but if Amazon was convinced that this idea was not the best use of the franchise, not the best way to move the franchise forward and reinvent it, resuscitate it, then they're not going to be inclined to just licensing it or selling it to another studio to do the same idea. I mean, maybe if a big player with deep pockets came along and wanted to just buy the franchise outright, they could sell the franchise. If we want to go to Netflix and petition them to just buy Stargate outright, I guess it's possible. But again, I feel like Stargate is one of the crown jewels in MGM's library. It would take a lot. And it would take a lot of convincing to another studio or streamer that it was worth the investment that it would take to get the rights. Alex 30425, I'm devastated. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm right there. Monster 316 just got here. What happened? What was their excuse? Okay, let's recap. We've been on. It's been a minute since we did a recap. Let's see. Variety originally broke the news today at 2:30 Pacific time that the show created by Martin Garrow that was now in pre-production for Prime Video is not moving forward. We went to our sources at Gateworld and confirmed the news. So it's done. It's canceled. They were at the point in the show where they, I think, had wrapped on the writers' room, and the writers were working on their scripts. And they were doing some preliminary casting for the show. Martin told us on a live stream in March that they were starting to look at some people. We were anticipating that they would cast this summer, and that maybe we would get some cast announcements by the end of the summer, because they were looking at starting filming principal photography in the London area this fall, possibly September. Amazon's pulled the cord. Amazon's pulled the plug out of the wall, and the show is done. It is not going to happen. And why? We've got a couple of kind of competing reports from Variety and from Deadline. I didn't get any specifics from my sources on why just yet. We're going to continue to try and fill out this what will ultimately be a piece of Stargate history, so that we can share it with you. But Variety says that Amazon executives decided that the sort of show that Martin was making was only going to appeal to, right, not far enough outside of the existing Stargate fan base to be worth it. You ask me, and I'm thinking that's a decision you made in November when you greenlit this show. You knew the pitch, you knew the story, and you already made the decision as to whether it could grow outside of the core fan base. Deadline's report has added a little bit of that, a little bit to that, in suggesting that maybe the ultimate culprit here is a change in the executive leadership inside Amazon MGM Studios. And maybe there was some turnover where new execs came in and just had a different strategy, right? Different idea for what they wanted the studio to be, what they wanted maybe Prime Video as a platform to be. And they thought that Martin's show did not fit with their new strategy, their new vision. So rather than continue to spend money on it, they would cancel it before production, before filming started. Both of those things might be true. Both of those things together might be only half the story. So that's what happened. That's where we're at here. And that's why we're on this impromptu live stream, processing the news together, mourning together. But we got each other's backs, right? We're gonna lift each other up. Morris QPR says, we were living in the best timeline. Whatever Amazon does with Stargate now will be worse than what Garrow was cooking up. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what it ultimately is and who's behind it. I'm going to be a bit gun shy when the next announcement comes along. I'm going to be a bit gun shy. Nethershaw has some advice for me. Honey and alcohol are excellent salves for the throat, but work at cross purposes. Choose one. Honey or alcohol? Well, it's 6 o'clock and I got to make sure my kids eat dinner, so I'll stick with honey. Join us over at Gateworld Forum or on the Gateworld Discord. Hellcats has posted a link for us for the Gateworld Discord in the chat, and I'll also put it in the video description for this. It's been great hanging out with you all. I'm glad that we got to do it. I'm sad that David was not available to come on and commiserate with us live, but we'll have that opportunity in the days ahead to do that together. History B5786. I would love new Stargate novels. Yeah, last new Stargate novel came out in 2019, and they're still selling them, so I believe that the license is still active, but for whatever reason, there hasn't been anything new. I hope that part of Amazon's long-term strategy is licensees. That we get some new novels and comics and all that stuff, because the franchise is so rich, the mythology is so rich. There's so much more to be done. So many more stories to be told. I hope we get more of that. Sir Prime, there's always mead, honey, and alcohol. Well, I was just told they work at cross purposes. Is mead going to make me cough more? All right, guys, I'm ready to wrap this up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Again, I appreciate you so much for being here. It's it takes time as a content creator, right? It takes time to write an article. It takes time to sit and record and then edit a video. And so I wanted to commiserate with you, right? Again, to give our fandom up a space to process this together. Um, I'm honored that you're subscribing to Gate World and that you let me be a part of that processing, a part of that work. But I also just, live stream gives us the opportunity for a little bit more instant interaction. So rather than me recording a video and editing it and posting it 3 days from now or 2 days from now, we can do this so that the YouTube Stargate fan community is aware of what's going on and can get the news and can start to process it because it's bad news. Today's bad news. The new Stargate series from Martin Garrow that was in the works for Prime Video has been canceled. We're going to learn more in the weeks and months to come, I'm sure. We might not ever get a satisfying explanation. You might not be satisfied by what we eventually learn about what's happened here and how this all went down. But I think we'll get more information at some point. And then again, I do think Amazon will do something with Stargate at some point. Will it be as good as a streaming series created by Martin Garrow? Today I'm pretty skeptical. This was about the most ideal, right? This is the best timeline comment. This was just about the best possible scenario that I could ever think of that Amazon could have done to continue the franchise. And now that they've greenlit it and then canceled it, um, it's hard to think of another scenario that is going to get me as excited. But I love Stargate. So whatever it ends up being, we're going to cover it at Gate World right here on YouTube and over on our website at gateworld.net. I appreciate you guys being here and participating. I wish I could just leave this running so that you guys could just keep talking to each other. But my mods also probably have to go to bed or go eat dinner. So thank you to the mods for being here. Thank you to Raj Luthra, Suns and Shadows, Hellcats, any of our other mod team who's popped in over the last couple hours. I appreciate you guys being here. Again, thank you to our channel members. Those of you who just joined, here's your chance. You can join as a Gate World channel member if you're interested in being a part of this community, supporting what I do here as an independent fan content creator. It's a few bucks a month and you'll get your name in the credits of some videos. Get to see videos early. We've got emojis like here are the SG1 emojis again that members can use in chat. I've got to look and add some emojis to this because I think we can have more than the 4 that we started with. Yeah, and there's more coming on Gate World. I had plans for stuff that I was already going to be doing this week before this news hit. So we've got a photo gallery. Our friend Martin McLean, SGA Gate Builder, took photos on site at the pop culture convention in Metz in France, where the children of MacGyver showed off their 1/1 full-size Stargate replica. So we'll have a photo gallery of that coming up here in the next day or two at Gate World. And then we'll do a regular live stream this Friday. We're gonna have Sarah from Sarah's Spare Corner back. I'm really excited to chat with Sarah again, and we'll have another sort of tier list or top 10 list or some kind of game to play. But of course, we're also gonna continue talking about this big monumental news, this bomb that Variety dropped on us. So that'll be this Friday, probably a little bit later. Still, Sarah and I are still pinning this down, but I think it'll be slightly later than we normally stream. So we might start closer to 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. British time. Be on the lookout for that. I'll post that on social media when we have it locked down. And then we've got a couple other streams coming in June before I think what's going to end up being a summer hiatus for the Friday streams, because I've got some big stuff coming up that I'll share with you a little bit later. What I don't have coming up though is a trip to London to watch them film Stargate, which I thought was going to happen. That's a bummer. I hadn't thought about that much. That's kind of an extra bummer. I was going to get to go to London and watch, visit the set. Okay. Well, maybe it's not going to be honey tonight. Uh, Guys, you're a blessing to me. I hope that being here on this stream has been good for you. Stay positive. If you got to be mad. But let's figure out where we go next, because this fandom is amazing. You guys are amazing. I keep doing this um, because this community is so fantastic, and because I love Stargate so much, and that's not changed. So, pick your favorite episode of Stargate. Go spin it tonight. And I hope to see you on Friday. Goodbye.